Hey there, everyone. Thanks for tuning in today. I've got something really intriguing lined up for you all. Something that's been bubbling up in the energies lately, pulling at the threads of fate in ways that might just make you sit up and take notice. You know how sometimes the universe throws these curveballs that feel like they're aimed right at you, stirring up questions about why certain things keep happening, or why people around you seem to be pointing fingers without saying a word. It's like the air is thick with unspoken truths. And today we're diving into that vibe to uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. Do you ever feel like the troubles in their life are somehow linked back to you, even if you can't see how? Oh man, let's dive into this one because it's one of those nagging feelings that creeps up on you when things start going sideways for someone else, and you can't shake the idea that maybe, just maybe, your fingerprints are all over it. Picture this. You've got history with these people, right? Maybe it's an ex, a former friend, or even a colleague, and their world seems to be unraveling. Job losses, relationship breakdowns, health scares, you name it. And deep down, there's this whisper in your gut saying, is this because of me? Not in a direct, obvious way like you sabotage them, but more subtle. Like the energy you put out there during your interactions has come full circle. Think about those arguments where words were thrown like daggers, or decisions you made that indirectly affected them. Karma's a tricky beast. It's not always immediate, but it builds up like storm clouds. In the readings I've done, this often shows up as a chain reaction. Your choices ripple out, and suddenly their stability crumbles. It's not about guilt-tripping yourself, though. It's recognizing that connections don't just vanish, they linger, and sometimes the universe uses their struggles to highlight unfinished business on your end. Maybe you walked away without closure, or held on to resentment that poisoned the air between you. I've seen it time and again. One person's unresolved anger manifests as chaos in another's life, and boom, you're wondering if you're the unwitting catalyst. But here's the thing, it's not always a straight link. Life's messy, with a million variables, so while it might feel connected, it could just be their own stuff amplifying what you contributed. Still, if that feeling persists, it's worth reflecting on what role you played, because ignoring it only lets it fester longer. Have you noticed people around you crumbling under pressures that seem to point straight at your involvement? It's fascinating how this plays out, isn't it? You look around, and suddenly it seems like everyone's dealing with some heavy stuff. Financial hits, emotional meltdowns, opportunities slipping away. And there's this eerie sense that the common thread is you. Not in a paranoid way, but like, why does this keep happening to people I've crossed paths with? Let's unpack that. Suppose you've got a circle of acquaintances or family, and one by one, they're facing these intense pressures. Maybe a friend you had a fallout with loses their job right after you wish them ill in a moment of anger, or a partner from the past hits rock bottom just as you're moving on smoothly. The pointing comes subtly, through side-eye glances, vague social media posts, or even direct comments like, ever since we stopped talking, everything's gone wrong. In tarot terms, this screams of reversed energies, where what was once balanced tips over because of lingering ties. I've pulled cards that show this as a tower moment for them, but the foundation crack started with your interaction. It's cruel in its precision, like karma's got a scorecard, and it's settling debts through their lives to make you notice. But don't jump to conclusions. Sometimes it's coincidence amplified by your own awareness. Still, if you're spotting patterns, repeated themes of loss or struggle among those you've influenced, it might be time to examine your impact. Were you fair? Did you leave things open-ended? Pressures build from unaddressed issues, and if they're crumbling, it could be the universe's way of saying, look at what your actions set in motion. On the flip side, it empowers you to break the cycle by owning up, even if just internally. Are you sensing that their downfall is tied to some unresolved energy from the past that involves you? This one's all about those ghosts from yesterday that refuse to stay buried, you know? You might be going about your day, minding your business, when news hits about someone from your past hitting a rough patch, maybe a business failing, a personal crisis, or just a string of bad luck, and bam, it feels tied to that old unresolved stuff between you two. Like, remember that argument where neither of you apologized? Or the betrayal that was swept under the rug? That energy doesn't dissipate, it simmers and eventually boils over into their current reality. In my experience with readings, this shows up as shadowy figures in the spread, representing unfinished emotional business. Their downfall isn't random. It's like a boomerang of vibes you both contributed to, but now it's landing squarely on them, making you question your part. Perhaps you were the one who pulled away first, leaving them with the baggage. Or maybe you said something cutting that planted seeds of doubt in their mind. Karma's ruthless here. It doesn't care about time past. It waits for the right moment to unleash. I've had clients describe this as a heavy fog lifting only to reveal connections they thought were severed. If you're sensing it, it's probably real on some level, but not always your sole fault. Life layers these things, so their choices post you play a role too. Yet the tie back to you suggests reflection. What energy did you leave behind? Healing that could prevent it from cycling back to you next. Do you wonder if the chaos in their world is a reflection of something you've done, intentionally, or not? Chaos has a way of mirroring our inner worlds, doesn't it? So when you see their life turning into a whirlwind, relationships imploding, plans derailing, everything feeling out of control, you can't help but wonder if it's echoing something from your side. Maybe it was intentional, like a deliberate choice to cut ties that left them adrift, or unintentional, such as advice you gave that backfired spectacularly. Let's explore this deeper. Imagine the butterfly effect, where your small action snowballs into their big mess. In tarot, this often appears as Wheel of Fortune vibes gone wrong, spinning out because of past inputs. You might not have meant harm, but words linger, actions resonate. For instance, if you ghosted someone, that abandonment energy could manifest as them struggling with trust, leading to their chaos. Or if you competed fiercely, that rivalry might now be biting them in unexpected ways. The wonder comes from that intuitive ping, like the universe is holding up a mirror saying, "See this? It's connected." But reflections aren't always accurate. Distortion happens. Their chaos could stem from their own patterns, amplified by what you did. Still, if you're pondering it, dive in. Journal about your interactions, see the parallels. It's not about self-blame, but growth. Recognizing the reflection helps you adjust your future moves, turning potential karma into lessons learned. Have you caught them blaming you silently for the ruins they're facing right now? Silent blame is the sneakiest kind, right? It's not outright accusations, but those loaded looks, the passive-aggressive comments, or the way they avoid you while their life falls apart. You've probably caught it, maybe through mutual friends relaying vibes or social media subtweets that hit too close to home. Their ruins could be anything: a shattered career, broken home, or health decline. And in their eyes, you're the shadow lurking behind it. Let's break this down. Blame often stems from pain, where they need a scapegoat to make sense of the mess. If there's history, like a fallout or unmet expectations, it's easy for them to pin it on you. In readings, this emerges as justice cards tilted, where balance is sought but through finger-pointing. You might sense it in the air, that unspoken, "this is your fault" energy radiating from them. But is it fair? Not always. People project their failures outward to cope. Still, if you've caught it, reflect. Did your actions contribute? Maybe a decision you made shifted their path irreversibly. Silent blame hurts because it's intangible, hard to confront. I've advised folks to address it gently, but sometimes letting it fade is best. The ruins they're in might be self-made, with you as convenient villain. Either way, acknowledging it frees you from carrying that weight. Are you aware of how their hardships might be echoing back as a form of retribution aimed at you? Retribution's a heavy word, but it fits when hardships boomerang, doesn't it? You're aware on some level if their struggles feel like payback, targeted right at your conscience. Maybe their financial woes echo a time you profited at their expense, or their loneliness mirrors how you isolated them. This echoing is karma's echo chamber, amplifying past deeds into present pain. For them, but with you feeling the reverb. In tarot pulls, it's like the Ten of Swords, but reversed for them while upright for your guilt. Awareness hits when patterns match. Their loss parallels what you gained or avoided. It's not always direct retribution. Universe works mysteriously. But if you're tuning in, it's a sign to examine ethics. Were you selfish? Did you overlook their needs? Hardships as echoes teach empathy, urging amends. Yet not every echo is aimed at you. Coincidences exist. Still, if it resonates, use it for personal evolution, breaking the retribution cycle. Do you feel accused in subtle ways for the destruction that's overtaking their reality? Subtle accusations pack a punch, huh? You feel it in the undercurrents, the way conversations shift, the hints dropped in group chats, or the cold shoulder that says volumes. Their realities being overtaken by destruction, dreams crumbling, support systems failing, everything turning to dust. And you? You're feeling the accusatory vibe, like invisible arrows pointing your way. Let's unpack. Destruction often seeks a cause, and if you're linked, you're it. Maybe a past mistake like bad advice or a broken promise now fueling this. Tarot shows this as crumbling towers, with judgment eyes on you. Subtlety makes it worse, hard to defend. If you feel it, it's valid. Intuition picks up energies. But question, is it projection? Their destruction might be internal, you the easy target. Reflect on your role without defensiveness. Subtle accusations can lead to growth if addressed. Have you pondered if the harsh twists in their fate are because of a cycle that starts with you? Pondering fate's twists is deep territory. Their harsh turns, sudden losses, betrayals, dead ends, feel cyclic, looping back to you as the origin. Like, did your actions kick off this wheel? A cycle starting with you could be a shared decision gone wrong, or energy you introduced. In readings, wheels spin endlessly until broken. Harsh twists punish, but educate. If pondered, trace back. What sparked it? Your involvement might be the catalyst, not sole cause. Cycles involve both parties, so their choices perpetuate. Pondering breaks it. Awareness halts repetition. Fate's not fixed. Intervene with kindness. Do you notice how their world is falling apart and somehow it all leads back to you? Noticing the fall apart is heartbreaking, especially when threads lead to you. Their world, relationships fracturing, goals evaporating, stability gone. It all connects, perhaps through a chain of events you initiated. Notice the signs, timelines matching your exit, themes echoing disputes. Tarot reveals links as chained cards, but somehow implies mystery, not always direct. Their fall could highlight your growth. Notice without overwhelm. Use for insight. Have you experienced that uneasy feeling that they're holding you responsible for their misery? Uneasy feelings linger like bad dreams. They're miserable, trapped in despair, everything souring, and you sense they're pegging you as responsible. Experienced through vibes, rumors, or direct hints. Misery seeks blame. You're the hook. Dive in. Past hurts? Your responsibility might be partial. Unease signals empathy. Address to ease. Are you aware of the invisible threads connecting your past choices to their current devastation? Invisible threads are fate's web. Aware if you see connections. Your choice led to their devastation. Homes lost. Spirits broken. Threads from decisions, words, absences. Awareness brings clarity. Mend or cut. Do you ever think their bad luck is a direct consequence of something unresolved between you? Thinking about bad luck as consequence is common. Their streak, accidents, failures, ties to unresolved issues, grudges, secrets. Consequence not always direct. Life intervenes. Think to resolve. Have you seen signs that their collapse is fueled by a force that implicates you? Signs everywhere. Collapse is fueled by implicating forces. Your name in whispers. Timing suspicious. Force like karma implicates. See to learn. Are you feeling the sting of unspoken blame for the wreckage in their existence? Sting of blame hurts deep. Unspoken in glances, silences. Wreckage. Lives in tatters. Feeling it means connection. Process to heal. Do you wonder if this destructive pattern is karma's way of highlighting your role in it? Wondering about patterns is wise. Destructive, repeating in their life, Karma, highlighting you. Role, participant. Wonder leads to change. Do you notice patterns where their hardships seem to accuse you indirectly? Patterns have this sneaky way of showing up and staring you right in the face until you can't pretend they're not there anymore. With these people, their hardships keep lining up in ways that feel almost scripted to throw shade your way without anyone saying a single word out loud. One month it's their career taking a nosedive right after you pulled back from helping them. The next, it's family drama exploding in patterns that echo arguments you once had with them. Then suddenly health stuff flares up around the same time you were thriving in some area they used to envy. It's like the universe is arranging these events in a row so you see the thread connecting back to moments when your paths crossed sharply. Indirect accusations live in those repetitions. The way their stories always circle around themes of betrayal, abandonment, or being left behind, themes that originated in your shared history. Maybe you set a boundary that felt necessary to you but felt like a knife to them, or you succeeded where they stumbled, and that contrast now fuels their narrative of unfairness. In readings, this pattern energy shows up as repeating symbols, like the same suit dominating spread after spread, hammering home that nothing here is random. Their hardships aren't screaming your name, but they're whispering it through every setback. You notice because intuition picks up on synchronicity. Your mind starts cataloging dates, events, emotional tones, and suddenly the puzzle pieces fit too neatly for comfort. But patterns can trick you too. Confirmation bias loves to play here, making every coincidence look like evidence. Still, when the accusations feel woven into the very fabric of their struggles, ignoring the pattern only makes the energy stick around longer. It's almost like karma is using their life as a billboard, quietly insisting you pay attention to what was left hanging between you. Are you questioning whether your actions have triggered this relentless storm in their lives? Questioning your own role in someone else's storm is one of the heaviest mental loops you can get caught in. Because once you start pulling that thread, everything unravels a little more. Their relentless storm, constant bad news, doors slamming shut, people turning away, opportunities evaporating, feels too ferocious to be pure chance. And your mind keeps drifting back to specific moments where your choices intersected with their path. Maybe it was the day you decided to walk away for good, or the conversation where you finally spoke your truth without softening it, or even something smaller like withdrawing support at a critical time. Those actions, even if they were self-protective or justified in your eyes, sent shockwaves. Storms don't form overnight. They build from pressure systems, and if your decisions added atmospheric tension, then yeah, parts of their turbulence can trace back. I've watched this dynamic unfold so many times. One person asserts themselves, the other feels abandoned or exposed, and suddenly their whole weather pattern shifts into chaos mode. The questioning hurts because it forces you to hold both truths at once. You did what felt right for you, yet the fallout landed on them with brutal force. Relentless is the key word here. It's not one isolated hit, it's wave after wave, making you wonder if you accidentally opened a gate that let all this through. But storms have multiple sources. Their own unresolved patterns, choices they made after you, external factors nobody controls. Your trigger might be real, yet not the only one. The real work comes in sitting with the question without rushing to absolve or condemn yourself. Feel the discomfort, trace the timeline, ask what lesson the storm is trying to teach both of you. Do you notice how the severity of their karma appears to implicate you directly? The severity jumps out first. It's not gentle lessons or minor inconveniences. It's heavy, almost theatrical downfall that makes people whisper, "What did they do to deserve this?" And in the middle of that intensity, your name keeps surfacing, not shouted, but present in the subtext of every update you hear. Their karma feels dialed up to maximum because the consequences match the emotional weight of whatever went down between you. If there was deep hurt, betrayal vibes, or power imbalances you were part of, the universe doesn't do half measures when settling those scores. It implicates you directly through timing and thematic precision. Their losses mirror areas where they once felt diminished by you. Their isolation echoes times you withdrew. Their public embarrassment parallels moments they tried to undermine you. Severity acts like a spotlight, bright enough that others notice the connection too, even if nobody says it outright. In energy work, this level of karmic force often appears when something was profoundly out of alignment and both parties contributed, But the one receiving the hardest hits is the one who resisted the lesson longest. You get implicated because your energy was in the equation. You weren't a bystander. Direct doesn't always mean guilty of everything, though. It means relevant, woven in, impossible to separate cleanly. Noticing this severity can feel exposing, like suddenly you're under the same harsh light they are. It pushes self-examination. Where did I contribute to imbalance? How did my choices amplify their eventual reckoning? The implication stings, but facing it head-on can neutralize some of the charge, turning raw karma into conscious evolution for everyone involved. Do you feel the weight of their pointed stares amid the destruction? Those pointed stares carry real weight, don't they? Even if it's just one loaded glance across a room or the way their eyes narrow when your name comes up in conversation, you feel it pressing down like an invisible hand on your shoulder. Amid their destruction, homes in disarray, reputations cracked, futures uncertain, the stares become weapons of silent indictment. They're not yelling accusations. They're letting the wreckage speak for itself while their gaze says, "You helped build this pyre." The weight accumulates because destruction magnifies everything. Pain gets louder, resentment sharper, and blame finds its favorite target. You feel it in your body first. Tight chest, uneasy stomach, that instinctive urge to look away or over-explain yourself. Pointed stares thrive in ambiguity. Since nothing's said outright, your mind fills in the blanks with every worst-case interpretation. Maybe they believe you orchestrated their fall, or maybe they're just desperate for someone to carry part of the pain so it doesn't crush them alone. Either way, the weight sits with you until you process it. In spiritual terms, this is classic projection energy mixed with karmic mirroring. Their destruction reflects back unfinished business, and the stares are the emotional delivery system. Carrying that weight long-term drains you, though. It tempts you into defensiveness or avoidance, both of which feed the cycle. Feeling it fully, without running, allows you to separate what truly belongs to you from what they're dumping. Release comes from acknowledging the stare, owning your piece if it exists, and then gently setting the rest down. Have you thought about how this relentless cycle might be aimed at exposing your part? The cycle doesn't let up. It spins, repeats themes, brings the same flavors of pain back around, and somewhere in the thick of wondering why it won't stop, you start suspecting it's designed to shine a very bright, very uncomfortable light on your involvement. Relentless cycles aren't random punishment. They're teachers with agendas. This one seems intent on exposure, peeling back layers until your role can't stay hidden behind excuses or distance. Maybe it started with a single choice, cutting contact, choosing yourself over harmony, enforcing a boundary that felt cruel to them. And now, every turn of the wheel drags that moment back into view through their suffering. Exposure feels aimed because the revelations keep centering you. Mutual friends mention how things shifted after you left. Their setbacks highlight contrast with your stability. Old wounds get reopened in ways that trace straight to interactions you had. You've probably thought, is this happening so I finally see what I did? And yeah, cycles like this often exist to force acknowledgement, not punishment for punishment's sake, but because denial keeps everyone stuck. Your part might be big or small. Maybe you were the spark. Maybe you were gasoline on an already smoldering fire. But the cycle won't break until that part is seen clearly. Thinking about it this way shifts the energy from victimhood, theirs or yours, to responsibility. Exposure hurts, but it's also liberation. Once your role is out in the open, internally at least, the wheel loses some momentum. You've thought about it because part of you already knows the cycle is speaking directly to unfinished chapters only you can close. Are you questioning the role you play in the harsh retribution they're enduring? Questioning your role in their retribution feels like walking a tightrope between compassion and self-preservation. Their retribution is harsh. Swift losses, repeated blows, consequences that seem disproportionate. And every time another piece falls, your mind circles back. Did I help set this in motion? The role you play isn't always the villain origin story people imagine. It could be the moment you refuse to enable anymore, the truth you spoke that shattered illusions, the boundary that left them without their usual safety net. Harsh retribution often follows when someone has been coasting on borrowed energy and your withdrawal or confrontation forced an accounting. You're questioning because the fit is too precise, Their pain echoes emotional debts tied to you. The timing aligns with your life changes. The themes match old conflicts. But questioning doesn't mean accepting full blame. Retribution belongs to their soul's curriculum too. They made choices long after your paths diverged. Still, if your actions were part of the trigger sequence, the truth sits heavy. The real question beneath the question is, what did I contribute, and what can I learn so no one else pays this price through me again? Harshness teaches through intensity. Your role might be the catalyst that made the lesson unavoidable. Wrestling with this builds deeper integrity. It stops you from repeating patterns unconsciously. Their endurance of retribution doesn't erase your agency in how it unfolded, but it also doesn't make you the sole author. Question thoroughly, answer honestly, then let the insight guide your next steps. Do you sense that their world's end is a signpost directing attention to you? Their world's end feels apocalyptic in scope. Everything they built collapsing, foundations cracking, identity in free fall. And in the rubble, there's this strange sense that the whole spectacle has arrows painted on it pointing straight at you. Not literally, but energetically. The way stories get retold with your chapter highlighted, the synchronicities that keep linking their demise to moments involving you, the intuitive hit that says, this isn't just about them. A signpost directs attention for a reason, to make sure the message lands where it's needed. Their ending isn't random destruction. It's a dramatic punctuation mark on unresolved energy, and you're the period at the end of the sentence. You sense it, because intuition doesn't miss these alignments. The collapse highlights choices, exposes dynamics, forces reckoning, and your presence in that narrative keeps surfacing. Maybe it's karma saying, look what happens when balance is ignored, with you as the living example of the other side of the scale. Or maybe it's their soul using dramatic loss to finally process what happened between you. Either way, the signpost energy feels deliberate, impossible to ignore, once noticed. Sensing it can feel exposing, almost accusatory, but it's also clarifying. Attention directed at you isn't always punishment. Sometimes it's an invitation to integrate, to heal your side of the story, to step into greater awareness. Their world's end as a signpost doesn't diminish their pain, but it does give it purpose beyond suffering. If you're picking up on the direction, trust that radar. It's rarely wrong about these big, energetic markers. Have you caught the subtle ways they're assigning fault to you for their ruin? Subtle fault assignment is an art form, never direct enough to confront, always sharp enough to wound. You've caught it in the offhand remarks that sound casual but land like accusations. The stories retold with just enough editing to cast you as the turning point. The quiet withdrawal of warmth from mutual circles that whispers, we know whose side caused this. Their ruin, financial, emotional, relational, gets narrated in ways that position you as the pivot where things went irreversibly wrong. Maybe a sentence like, ever since that happened, trails off meaningfully, or photos from better times get captioned with veiled digs, or friends relay comments that frame their downfall as, after you left, everything changed. Subtlety protects them from accountability while still delivering the message. You've caught it because these things accumulate. One isolated comment is nothing, but the pattern becomes undeniable. In energy terms, this is displaced responsibility seeking an outlet. Their ruin feels too big to own fully, so fault gets parceled out, and you're holding the largest piece in their version. Catching it doesn't mean fighting back or proving innocence. It means seeing the mechanism clearly. They're assigning because pain needs a container, and you're the most familiar one. The subtle ways hurt more because they evade resolution. No argument to have, no apology to give or receive. But recognizing them frees you from unconsciously carrying their narrative. You've caught enough to know it's happening. Now the power lies in how you respond internally, with compassion for their hurt, clarity about your truth, and gentle detachment from their version of events. Are you aware of the karmic backlash that seems to highlight your involvement? Karmic backlash has this spotlight quality. It doesn't just hit, it illuminates, making sure every relevant player is lit up in the glare. You're aware because the backlash isn't vague or generalized. It zooms in on specifics that tie directly to your involvement. Their losses echo moments where fairness was in question between you. Their isolation mirrors times you stepped away. Their public falls parallel private conflicts where appearances mattered. The karmic machinery seems engineered to highlight involvement, not obscure it, Awareness creeps in through repeated confirmations. Timelines match too perfectly. Themes recur with your name attached. Intuitive downloads keep circling back to, this is connected to what happened. Backlash isn't random cosmic punishment. It's corrective force restoring equilibrium, and when your energy was part of the original imbalance, you naturally show up in the correction frame. You're not necessarily the target of the backlash. Their soul called it in. But your involvement gets foregrounded so no one pretends it didn't happen. Awareness of this can feel exposing, vulnerable, even unfair if you feel your part was minor or defensive. Yet the highlighting serves growth. It forces examination, dialogue, even if only internal, and potential course correction. Karmic backlash that spotlights you isn't trying to destroy you. It's trying to make sure the lesson sticks for everyone in the web. Being aware means you're already halfway to integration, seeing the mechanism, feeling the connection, choosing how to respond with higher consciousness instead of defensiveness or denial. Do you ever feel like the architect of the storm that's devastating their peace? Feeling like the architect hits different. It's that moment when you look at their complete lack of peace, the relentless turbulence swallowing their days, and think, my hands helped draw the blueprints. Not in a cartoon villain way, but in the sobering realization that choices you made became structural elements in the storm they're now weathering. Maybe you withdrew resources they depended on, spoke truths that shattered their illusions, or simply chose your own path when staying would have softened their landing. The devastation of their peace, constant anxiety, fractured relationships, eroded confidence, feels engineered because certain pressure points trace back to decisions associated with you. Architect energy carries weight because it implies intention and design, even when your blueprints were drawn for self-preservation rather than harm. You feel it most acutely in quiet moments, seeing their updates, hearing updates from others, noticing how their chaos contrasts with your growing stability. The storm rages because foundations were shaken, and if you were part of applying that pressure, the architect label sticks in your mind. But architecture is collaborative. They co-design through their responses, choices, resistances, feeling like the sole architect overstates your power and understates theirs. Still, the feeling persists because emotional impact lingers longer than logical explanations. It invites deep inquiry. What did I build? What did I destroy? What can I rebuild differently? Owning the architect sensation without drowning in it transforms guilt into wisdom, turning past blueprints into future safeguards.